Hello, welcome back to episode 5 of the Twisted Worlds Saga podcast. I'm Ashley N.S., author of the series. If you're new here, I'm glad you're here. Today, we're continuing with Twisted Worlds, the beginning. In the last episode, we took a closer look at Sam. Now, it's time to continue the story. So get comfortable and let's get into Chapter 1. Chapter 1. No, Mom, please wake up! Harmony, come quick! My mother's scream ripped through the house. I jumped out of bed and ran down the hallway, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. Something was terribly wrong. The closer I got to my grandmother's room, the slower everything seemed to move. When I reached the doorway, my mom was standing beside the bed, shaking my grandmother's shoulders. Mom, please wake up, she cried. My grandmother lay there completely still. Grandma? I whispered. She didn't move. My knees buckled and I collapsed beside the bed as tears flooded my face. My grandmother wasn't just my grandmother. She was my best friend. And just like that, she was gone. 2 years later. The sound of a car horn blasted through the quiet morning. Once, twice, then again, long and obnoxious. I groaned and I shoved a pillow over my head. Mom, I swear to God. Honk! My eyes snapped open. What the hell? I threw the blanket off and stumbled out of bed, nearly tripping over a pile of clothes on the floor. The horn blasted again as I stormed towards the window. I'm up. Stop trying to wake up the entire neighborhood. The words died in my throat. Parked in the driveway was a massive black Toyota Sequoia. A giant red bow stretched across the hood, like something out of a commercial. My mom sat in the driver's seat, one arm hanging out of the window, and a huge grin on her face. She hit the horn again. I blinked. What? Good morning, she called up to me. I opened the window. Why are you honking like the house is on fire? She pointed towards the driveway. Come outside. I stared at the SUV again. Mom, why is there a bow on that tank? Because, she said, holding up a set of keys and shaking them slightly. It's yours. For a moment, my brain completely stopped working. My what? Your new car, she said, like it was the most normal thing in the world. I blinked again. Then I turned and bolted down the stairs. The front door flew open as I ran outside barefoot, stopping halfway down the driveway as I stared at that huge SUV. This thing is massive, I said. My mom tossed me the keys. I caught them automatically and looked down at the Toyota logo. You're serious? She leaned against the driver's door with a small smile. You're driving 5 other teenagers and half of your belongings to college. A RAV4 wasn't going to survive that trip. I looked back at the Sequoia, then at her, then back at the Sequoia. You bought me a tank, she laughed. I bought you something safe. I walked around the SUV slowly, still trying to process it. Holy shit! Language! Sorry, I muttered, running my hand across the hood. But seriously, holy shit! My mom smiled softly. You like it? I looked at her like she was crazy. Like it? Mom, this thing is awesome! She laughed again. Good, because your friends are going to be here in 20 minutes, and that back seat is about to get filled. Right on cue, my phone buzzed in my hand. Zach, are you up yet? I smirked, answering my phone. Oh yeah, I said, looking back at the SUV. I'm definitely up now. Brianna, Texas. We're 5 minutes away. I smirked. Well, I said, glancing down the street. The chaos is about to begin. My mom laughed. You mean your friends? Same thing. A few minutes later, the first car pulled up in front of the house. Brianna climbed out of the passenger seat while her dad started unloading suitcases from the trunk. "Morning," she called as she walked up the driveway. Then she stopped, her eyes slowly lifting to the massive Toyota Sequoia. "Holy crap!" I grinned. "Right?" Her dad whistled. "Now that's a college car." "Apparently I needed something bigger," I said. Brianna walked around the SUV, inspecting it like it was a spaceship. "This thing is huge." Before I could respond, another car pulled up behind theirs. Then another. Within 5 minutes, the front of our house looked like a small parking lot. Vera stepped out of one car and immediately spotted the SUV. "Oh my God," she said. "Please tell me that's ours." Zach climbed out of the car behind her and let out a whistle. "Harmony, what did you do? Rob a bank?" Sam slammed his car door and laughed. "Dude, we could live in that thing." Roger walked over, staring at the Sequoia. "This is ridiculous." I held up the keys proudly. "My mom surprised me." Grace leaned against the porch railing, sipping her coffee like she was enjoying the show. One by one, the parents started pulling suitcases, boxes, and random college supplies from their trunk. Within minutes, the driveway looked like a yard sale. Mini fridges, suitcases, bedding bags, boxes full of who knows what. Zach looked at the pile and then back at the SUV. "Okay," he said, rubbing his hands together. "Now I understand why you needed the tank." Sam grabbed the box and opened the back hatch. "Let's load this thing." Grace called from the porch. "Just try not to destroy it before you even leave the driveway." Zach looked up. "No promises." Everyone laughed. And just like that, the driveway exploded into chaos as 6 teenagers started packing their entire lives into the back of the Sequoia. Boxes began disappearing into the back of the Sequoia one by one. Sam climbed halfway inside the cargo area, trying to stack everything like a puzzle. "Okay, whoever brought the mini fit fridge, you're my enemy." "That would be me," Vera said proudly, handing him another box. Sam groaned. "Fantastic." Roger walked past carrying 2 duffel bags. "You volunteered to pack it." "I volunteered to supervise," Sam corrected. Zach tossed a backpack into the back seat and leaned against the SUV. "This thing is ridiculous," he said, looking around the interior. "We could start a band tour with this." Brianna shook her head. "We are not starting a band." Zach pointed at Roger. "He looks like a bass player." Roger rolled his eyes. "I'm not a bass player." "You could be." "I don't even own a bass." "That's a minor detail." Vera laughed as she opened one of the rear doors. "Can we focus on the fact that we're about to be living together at college?" Grace stepped down from the porch and walked towards the driveway. "Well," she said, handing Harmony a small envelope, "before you all disappear into adulthood." Harmony looked down at it. "What's this?" "Gas money," Grace said. "And emergency money." Harmony blinked. "Mom." "Take it." Harmony sighed and slipped the envelope into her pocket. "Thanks." One of the other parents walked over and shook Harmony's hand. "Drive safe," he said. "Don't worry," Zach added loudly. "We're in the safest tank in Pennsylvania." Grace raised an eyebrow. "Zach?" He immediately straightened. "Respectfully." Everyone laughed again. Within another 10 minutes, the Sequoia was packed full. The back hatch slammed shut. "Harmony, wait!" Grace suddenly turned and ran back into the house. Harmony frowned, leaning out of the driver's window. "Mom?" The front door flew open again seconds later, and Grace hurried down the porch steps, holding a small black velvet box. She stopped beside the SUV and held it out. "Here," she said, slightly breathless. "This is for you." Harmony took the box, confused. "What is it?" Grace's eyes softened. "Your grandmother Carter left it for you. I meant to give it to you earlier, but I figured it would mean more now." Harmony opened the box. Inside rested a silver amulet on a thin chain. The metal looked old, etched with strange symbols, circling a dark stone in the center. "Whoa." Zach leaned forward from the back seat. That thing looks ancient. Harmony lifted it carefully from the box. It's beautiful. Grace watched closely as Harmony slipped the chain over her head. The amulet settled against her chest. For a brief moment, Grace's stomach tightened. Just keep it hidden, Grace said quietly. Harmony frowned. Hidden? Grace nodded toward the road. You're heading west. So? So when you get to Utah, it's better if people don't see it. Harmony blinked. That's oddly specific. Grace forced a small smile. Just humor your mother. Harmony studied her for a second. Why? Grace glanced toward the SUV again, where 5 curious teenagers were pretending not to listen. Because not everyone you'll meet out there is someone I trust. Harmony crossed her arms slightly. Does this have anything to do with my dad? Grace went very still. The question hung in the air between them. Grace sighed quietly. Harmony, that's a yes. Grace shook her head gently. It has to do with a lot of things. Harmony leaned against the doorframe of the SUV. Mom, you can't say something like that and then expect me not to ask questions. Grace stepped a little closer, lowering her voice. Harmony, I need you to promise me something. Harmony narrowed her eyes. That sounds suspicious already. Grace ignored the comment. Promise me you won't go looking for answers. Harmony blinked. You're kidding. Grace shook her head. I'm serious. Harmony laughed once. You're telling me there's some big secret involving Utah, my grandmother's weird necklace, and my mystery father? She held up the amulet. And I'm just supposed to not ask about it. Grace's expression hardened slightly. Harmony. The tone alone told her this wasn't a joke. Harmony sighed. Fine. What exactly am I promising? Grace pointed gently to the amulet now resting against Harmony's chest. Keep it hidden, and don't go looking for answers about where it came from. Harmony stared at her. Mom. Grace reached up and squeezed her hand. Please. Harmony hesitated. Behind her, Zach called from the back seat. Are we about to leave this decade? Harmony groaned. Hold on. She looked back at her mother. Fine. Grace searched her face. Promise. Harmony sighs. I promise I won't go looking for answers. Harmony crossed her fingers behind her back. Grace nodded slowly. Good. Harmony slid back into the driver's seat. Grace stepped away from the door. As the Sequoia began rolling down the driveway, Harmony glanced at the amulet resting against her chest. Then she looked back at her mom. Mom? Grace looked up. What? Harmony smirked slightly. You know promises have loopholes, right? Grace sighed. Yes, I do. Harmony grinned and drove off. Grace watched the SUV disappear down the street. Her smile faded immediately. Carter, she whispered under her breath. It's starting. And that is where we're going to leave off today. What you heard today is only the beginning. The story is still unfolding, and there are details in this chapter that will become more important as everything starts to connect. The next episode will be out on Monday, May 19th. So if you want to hear what happens next, make sure you come back for it. You have just started from the beginning.